expecting the same lineup tomorrow night you had last week?
Yeah, we've got another match committee meeting this afternoon. We don't have to have our team in until tonight. I mean, it's really hard to change the team that performed so well a couple of weeks ago, but there are some things we have to take into consideration, so we'll see how that pans out.
Just wait for that song.
Classic interviews out here.
It happens every time, doesn't it?
Every time.
Right in the construction. But it must be nice if you've got for the most part, a full list to pick from. You can do whatever you want. Really.
Yeah, we have. It seems like all the teams left in the competition at this point in time have. Most of them have got their full lists available. So I think that's great, to be honest. You know, you want the finals to be played with the best teams playing against the best teams with all their best players available, and that's what's occurred. So it makes for a really exciting weekend.
The guys all said for the last 2 weeks, the last week since you've known it's Geelong, that game in round 6 was a real focal point throughout the season. They kept going back to it to look at it and see what they did wrong and how they could build from it. Have you seen that they've fixed those, maybe not problems, but the things that they were looking at?
Yeah, we've improved a lot as the season's gone on. I mean, I think the performance against Richmond 2 weeks ago, a really tough, hardened finals team, indicates that we've learnt quite a few lessons during the season, and one of those primary lessons was definitely the Cats game in round 6, even though it was a long time ago. You know, we try and turn all of the games that we play into learning experiences, but particularly the ones we lose, there's a lot to learn, particularly against the better sides. So yeah, that game wasn't lost on our players, and we get an opportunity this week to show whether we've learnt from that game or whether we haven't.
How much do you look at the last time you played here, round 22 last year? That was an epic game.
Yeah, it was an epic game. Haven't really looked back that far, to be honest. It's more relevant what's going on this year because teams sort of change from one year to the next. But it was certainly it was a really good day for sure.
The crowd was big that day.
Crowd was big. It was a great game. Two teams just went at it right till the very end. Probably like tomorrow night.
Is there any consideration into Elliot Yeoman coming in, given he's a bigger body?
Oh, there's consideration for quite a few players that are in good form. It's just a matter of whether we want to make a change or not. So. Yeah, we'll talk about that later on.
You said there were considerations about changing a winning lineup. What are some of those considerations?
Oh, that's probably not something that I'm willing to share at this point in time. I think that's a fair question for you to ask, but to give away our deliberations in match practice in a big important final like this, I think that's probably asking for a bit much from me. So with respect, I'll decline.
Is it more matchups rather than your style? Or?
No, we tend to stick with our method pretty much. So you know, occasionally we go for a particular matchup, but that's not very often.
You brought Elliot Yeoman to the club to be the bigger midfielder against the bigger midfields. Does that heighten his chances of getting a run this weekend, considering that's the part of the ground where Geelong probably got the ascendancy when you played? Yeah,
they did last time we played them. We had a few of our guys that night that didn't play to their capacity either, and we think they've improved since then, and you know, we put a lot of players through there. So yeah, that discussion about Cam's a realistic discussion, but there's a few other ones too that are important.
How big of a headache is what Paddy Dangerfield can do both in the midfield and going up forward?
Well, it's no different to what the Dustin Martin situation 2 weeks ago. So you know, you have a plan for both, but ultimately what you want is your team to play really well. So if he's playing up forward, the supply is limited. You know, as we saw last week, if he's able to get relatively uncontested easy ball coming in, then he's a nightmare. So it'll be the effort of the collective team that will decide how well any Geelong player will play.
How similar is the plan when you go Dusty and Danger? Like, if you're able to go, if he goes forward, we do this bit, same as with Dusty, if he's midfielder, this same with Dusty, or is it different for both blokes? Yeah,
they've got some similarities. Although Dusty's more of a ground ball player. He'll get the ball to ground and shift you with his body, whereas Danger's probably got that ability to lead quickly and jump in the air, so he's a little bit different.
Charlie Cameron it just feels like he just loves the big stage. He was so good in that first final. 5 in his last prelim. Are you expecting something similar?
Well, if he could do that, I'd be pretty happy. But no, I'm not expecting any goals from Charlie. I'm just expecting him to play his role for the team. And if goals come along, then that's an added bonus. But you know, again, we don't rely on any one individual. We've been a team all year that's been able to have a lot of guys that can kick goals. I think we kicked 10 the other week in that first final, and we had 9 goal kickers or something like that, or 8 goal kickers. So yeah, we'll continue to rely on a large quantity of our players rather than one man.
Chris, you've been to prelims previously. How much does experience in these big matches count? Because obviously your side doesn't have so many who've been to this position.
Yeah, well, probably only Grant Birchall and Charlie Cameron are the only 2, I think. Oh, Lockie Neal would have been to a preliminary final.
And Link.
And Link's played in a prelim, has he? Okay, I didn't know that. Oh, look, experience is a wonderful thing, there's no doubt about that, but I can't go and give our guys an injection of that. You know, what we try and do all year is just play in the right way to help you win finals games of football. And I think the preliminary final, the thing you can't get caught up in is the result and the prize at the end of it. You just got to focus on every minute of the game, just doing the right things, and then hopefully looking up at the end of the day and you've done enough of those moments right that you're positive on the scoreboard. But that's pretty much how you have to play preliminary finals. They're generally games that you have to fight to the death. A lot of the prelim finals that I've have anything to do with, and there's been a few, I think 8 or 9, so I think it's the 9th one tomorrow. Most of them are close games, so we've just got to be ready for that and look forward to the opportunity. It's not something we fear. We'll get some feedback on ourselves tomorrow, one way or the other, and we'll learn from it.
Playing in your backyard, I mean, that's got to be an advantage. Is that a 1% of having that crowd too behind?
Well, I'm looking forward to our crowd turning up tomorrow night. I think it's 30,000 allowed at the ground. Hopefully the majority of them are Brisbane supporters and they can make a hell of a lot of noise, and we give them something to cheer about. But outside of that, I mean, Geelong have played 4 games here this year, I think, for 4 wins. So I think they're pretty confident at this ground as well. So I don't think they'll fear playing at the Gabba.
I've heard whispers to the AFL's not letting you sort of treat it as a home game. Like you have to bus in. Like, is that
yeah, that's all to do with the COVID protocols, though. That's par for the course, just because there's going to be a bigger crowd here tomorrow night. So that's all understandable. I mean, we've all year, every team, every club's had to deal with little things that aren't normally the case, and that's just one of those things for us this week.
You mentioned on radio today that you spoke to Joe Dana. Would you expand a bit on those conversations?
Nah, probably not. Well, the bottom line is I'm not the list manager or the footy manager, and you know, other than that brief conversation with Joe, I've had nothing to do with the process. So I think the best people to comment on that, other than me saying it's really good that he's indicated that he wants to come to our club, the best people to talk to about that are David Noble or Dom Ambrogio.
Do you feel you've made yourself a destination club?
Oh, I don't know. You'd have to ask other people that. I don't know the answer to that question. It's been good for us that a number of players have wanted to come to our club in more recent times, but there's players going to other clubs as well. I don't think we're anything special in that regard.
Does the Brownlow medal count Sunday night? How do you keep Lockie focused on the game first?
Oh, well, I don't have to do anything in regards to that because he's a total professional, and you know, he wants to contribute as much as he can to the team on Saturday night. So I don't think the Brownlow will be in his mind at all. Probably when he wakes up Sunday morning it might be, but definitely not prior to that. I have no need to say anything to him.
Chris, the expectation from teams you've been involved with in the past, preliminary finals, you've now got a whole city, a whole state really riding on this as well. I mean, does that increase the pressure? It feels like it would. How do you manage it?
Not really. I mean, you know, there was a lot of pressure on us when we played against Richmond, but we managed it because we just focus on what we need to do, and all we can do is our best. And our best might be good enough or it might not be good enough, but we don't let external factors influence any pressure that we might have on ourselves. It's just not a factor for us. And the way it is now, the way that we live, the bubble that we're in, the guys don't see too many other people, you know, so it's not the normal buzz around your football club as what there is in a normal year, because there's just not that many people around. So it's calm in our joint at the moment.
As you talked about the passionate fans that will be here in the game, there's one special fan who's been doing a nice ceremony for the players all season on game day, and it seems to have had a bit of luck. What does it mean to you to have such passionate fans, but in particular Bear and what he's been able to do?
Yeah, little Jamali, his name is. Yeah, I've looked at his work. The boys are all pretty happy with it. Oh, look, it's great to have support and to see the passion that he's got for our footy club, to do it every week. It's absolutely fantastic, and it's certainly captured the imagination of our players. And if that little ceremony that he does helps us in some sort of way, I reckon that's fantastic.
Looking forward to meeting him in person once this season's over and going there at 4:30 in the morning with him.
Yeah, I'd love to meet him. It'd be an honour.
Chris, I mean, you guys won, I guess what, 8 or 9 in a row. You had, this great run, earned this sort of double chance. But then if you lose this week, you don't really sort of get it. What's like in camp? Like, are there nerves, or is everyone just it's like this close to the final?
No, as I said before, the last thing you can think about is the grand final. You just got to think about the game that you've got to play. The rest of it will take care of itself. If you start thinking about other things, I reckon that probably you play with a bit more fear. We want to be fearless tomorrow, so we'll just focus on the process, and that's the way we'll go.
Is that the message you've given? Don't worry about the future, just focus on now.
Yeah, that's the same message that Grant Birch will give, or Lachie Neale would give. The guys that have played in those finals. It's no different to the final we played the other day, to be honest. Just take the learnings from that and reapply them to the game tomorrow night, and we'll see how we go, and we'll work out whether we're good enough to be there or we've still got work to do.